Bruce Willis had been a Hollywood icon for decades. His roles in Die Hard, Pulp Fiction, and The Sixth Sense had solidified his place as one of the greatest actors of his generation. But as time passed, the unthinkable happened. He was diagnosed with aphasia, a condition that affected his ability to communicate. The world mourned the decline of an action hero, believing his days in Hollywood were over. But Bruce had other plans. In a quiet corner of Los Angeles, away from the flashing cameras and endless interviews, a project was in motion. Bruce Willis was preparing for his final role, a film unlike any he had ever done before. No one knew about it, except for a handful of close friends and a young, unknown filmmaker named Jake Carter. Jake had always been a fan of Bruce. As a kid, he would watch Die Hard every Christmas with his father, reciting lines alongside the legendary actor. When he heard about Bruce's illness, something inside him refused to accept that it was the end. He reached out to Bruce's family with an idea, a movie that would honor the actor's legacy in the most profound way possible. At first, Bruce's family was hesitant. How could he act with his condition? But when Jake showed them the script, they saw something remarkable. It wasn't a typical action film. It wasn't a thriller. It was a story about Bruce himself, about a man coming to terms with his own mortality, his legacy, and the impact he had on the world. And it was written in a way that Bruce could perform without needing long, complex dialogue. The film, titled The Last Curtain, was a deeply personal narrative about an aging actor who, after years of portraying heroes, realized that his greatest role was not on screen, but in real life. The story followed a man who had lived a life of action and adventure, but now faced a challenge no script had prepared him for: saying goodbye. With the support of his closest friends, Bruce agreed to the project. Filming began in a secluded studio, away from the public eye. Each scene was carefully crafted to accommodate his condition. His co-stars, old friends from the industry, rallied around him, helping him deliver a performance that was raw, emotional, and deeply human. Jake worked tirelessly to ensure that every scene felt authentic. There were moments of struggle, times when Bruce would forget a line or lose focus. But instead of frustration, there was patience. Jake adjusted the scenes, allowing Bruce to express emotions in ways beyond words, through his eyes, his expressions, his very presence on screen. Between takes, Bruce would sit quietly, sometimes staring off into the distance. "What are you thinking about?" Jake asked one afternoon. Bruce smiled faintly. "Just remembering," he said. "All of it. The good, the bad, the crazy times. It all feels like yesterday." Jake realized then that this film wasn't just about saying goodbye. It was Bruce's way of reliving his life, one scene at a time. As filming progressed, word of the project started to spread. Hollywood insiders whispered about it. Fans speculated. But no one knew exactly what Bruce was working on. That was until the first teaser dropped. A simple, powerful shot of Bruce Willis sitting in a dimly lit theater, looking at an empty stage. No words, just a moment of reflection. The internet exploded. The anticipation was electric. Everyone wanted to see the film. But Jake and Bruce had decided on something radical. The movie would not be released in theaters or on streaming platforms. Instead, there would be one single screening, one night only. A farewell not just to a character, but to an era. The screening was held in the very theater where Bruce had once auditioned for his first big role. Hollywood's biggest stars, his closest friends, and the lucky few who managed to get a ticket gathered in silence as the lights dimmed and the film began. What followed was nothing short of magic. The film was Bruce's goodbye letter to the world, an intimate, heart-wrenching masterpiece that captured his essence in a way no other movie ever had. In one scene, Bruce's character sat alone in a dressing room, staring at a collection of old photographs, snapshots of a life filled with laughter, pain, and triumph. The camera lingered on his face as a single tear rolled down his cheek. No music, no dialogue, just raw emotion. The silence in the theater was deafening. When the final scene played, Bruce standing alone on a beach, watching the sunset as his character faded into the horizon. There wasn't a dry eye in the house. As the credits rolled, the audience rose to their feet in a thunderous ovation. Bruce, sitting in the front row, smiled. He didn't need to say a word. His legacy had spoken for itself. The next morning, news of the film spread like wildfire. Critics called it the most touching farewell in Hollywood history. Fans demanded to see it, but Jake and Bruce's family stood firm. This film was a moment in time, a gift for those who had been there. A legend's final bow. In the days that followed, Bruce received countless letters from fans, thanking him for the memories, for the inspiration, for everything. One letter stood out. It was from a young filmmaker, much like Jake, who had grown up idolizing Bruce. "I don't know if you'll ever read this," it said, "but I just wanted you to know. You were my hero, not because of the movies, but because you showed me what it means to never give up, to fight until the very end. Thank you, Bruce." And just like that, Bruce Willis walked away from the spotlight, not as an action hero, but as something even greater. A storyteller who had given the world one last unforgettable moment. His final role wasn't about explosions, chases, or saving the day. It was about being human. And that was his greatest performance of all. Subscribe to the channel to not miss even more stories about other celebrities.